Blessings. Welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Today we are in Ezekiel chapters 40 through 42. I really hope you read ahead and so you know where I'm coming from. These three chapters are about Ezekiel being taken in his spirit to a place of a new temple. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar, as we've been talking about, has come into Jerusalem, and after a 2.5-year siege, he took Jerusalem and he completely destroyed the temple. So there is no temple standing. But the Spirit takes Ezekiel in this, in a vision, or it gives a specific exact date. He's taken to, from what he describes as a temple that is built. It is quite possibly the New Jerusalem that comes down from heaven in Revelations. I can't say for sure whether it is or isn't. Lots of measurements, exact measurements of what this temple is going to look like, which gives us understanding that God is a God who plans. God is a God of he leaves nothing up to chance. These are exact measurements. God has a plan, and he is sovereign. He is in control. And make no mistake about it, just like this temple, he doesn't leave things up to chance. Things don't take God by surprise, is what I'm trying to say. But in these three chapters, it is about this, I don't even want to call it an angel, this bronze-looking man who may be a future or an image of Christ himself. They call it a Christophany. But showing Ezekiel this temple and the measurements. And there's just a few spots where this bronze angelic figure speaks. And in 41:4, he says, "This is the holy place, the most holy place." And those are the only words he speaks at that time. Then a little bit later in verse 22, he says, "This is the table that is before the Lord." And he's describing the most significant parts of the temple. The rest are just measurements. And then verse 42, chapter 42, verse 13 and 14, he describes the priest. But at the very end, in chapter 42, God says, or not God says, this bronze angelic figure says that these things are built to divide between the holy and the profane. It just gives us this beautiful example of how holy God is. Everything inside the temple is holy. Everything outside is profane. It includes us. And we need to recognize the difference between God's holiness and us. What we consider ourselves holy, the things... There's a huge difference between God's holiness and our holiness. For example, my holiness would be best described as if I go in the closet and it's pitch black, and the light that I give off is my holiness. There's not going to be any light, right? But if you compare my light to the sun and all its brilliance and radiance, that's the difference between my holiness. Well, that probably doesn't even come close to describing the difference between my holiness and God's holiness. God is holy. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. And we need to recognize how holy he is and approach him as holy with that kind of a reverence. But still know that he's your dad, your father, your Abba. Anyway, this was an incredibly difficult read, I will not lie. There weren't a lot other than that, just gigantic takeaways, but God is holy, and that is gigantic. Tomorrow we're going to read 43, 44, and 45 in Ezekiel and see if there's a little bit more other than just measurements that we come away with tomorrow. But anyway, read ahead, come back here tomorrow, let's discuss this, and in the meantime, you guys be safe.